good to go.
We're good to go. Thank you. Before I open the hearing for the Barnstable Conservation Commission, I would like to ask George to do a roll call for a quorum purpose. Tonight is George's last hearing for the commissions, and we'll say our farewells to him at the end of the meeting.
Abadili.
Present.
Foster.
Present.
Gilmore is present. Hearn.
Present.
Lee.
Present.
Sampu.
Present.
Tagney.
Present.
Administrator Darcy Carley.
Present.
Administrative Assistant Kim Kavanaugh.
Present.
We are all here, Mr. Chairman, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I think under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and or Chapter 237 of the Code of Town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, June the 25th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. for the application of Robert Hayden, John N. Jr., and Aaron S. Spinneys, Burt Realty Trust, Catherine K. and Wallace S. Grove, Trustee, Housing Assistant Corporations of Cape Cod, Saga Property Holdings, LLC. The hearing is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. The plans and application are on file and may be reviewed by scheduling appointments by sending email requests to Darcy Curley at 230 South Street, Hyannis. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with the Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, please let the chair know if anyone is recording this meeting. Hearing none. This evening's hearing agenda is posted on the town's websites. On the agenda, next to each application is the amount owed to the Town of Barnstable for the cost of advertisement. Please send your checks to the Conservation Division at 230 South Street before the hearing. Remote participations. The Conservation Commission public hearing will be held by remote participation as a result of an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed by the governor on March 29, 2023, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Remote public access to this hearing shall be provided in the following manner. 1, the hearing will be televised via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. 2, the real-time public comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom link 889-616-84688 or use the toll-free phone number 888-475-4499 as shown on the agenda. 3rd, the public can also email their comments to darcy.curley@town.barnstable.ma.us at least 8 hours prior to the hearing. The first item on the agenda is under the old and new business is the commission vote on the future format of the meeting. Couple of things I just want to mention. Number 1 is the official extension act signed on March 29, 2023 is to be expired on March 31st, 2025. This means that the vote tonight will only be effective up to March 31st, 2025. And just prior to that expiration date, we'll probably have to take another look at the future formatting for the meeting. And second, our meeting format option is only limited to in-person or a Zoom call. There is no combinations of the two. I mean, in-person and or the Zoom at the same time. And it's not available to us. So I want to open up for a discussion before I take the vote. Anyone to say anything? I think Pete wanted to say something first, right? Pete?
Yeah, yes, please. Well, as you, well, of course, my IT ignorance. Thankfully, everything is fairly simple here for me. But our gathering that we had last night in celebration of the time that George has been with us, it was wonderful to see you all. And I do remember the camaraderie that we had, the shared interest of conservation, but the breadth of experience and professionalism that each of us bring to that. And I feel that when we actually meet together, it really accentuates the best that we all can bring. I'm fairly certain that something is lost between my screen and my ignorance and my ability to communicate not only with my fellow commissioners but with the public. So I, for one, feel fairly strongly, as I did a year ago, that in-person meetings present a better understanding of the issues in front of us, my understanding of my fellow commissioners' expertise, and my ability to communicate with the public. So thanks for listening to me all.
Thank you, Pete. Bill?
Yeah, I echo or agree with what Pete said. I think something is lost in terms of communicating with the public. And during the past, few years here on Zoom, there've been a number of times when people crash out. The Zoom thing breaks down, someone disappears, and it creates a certain havoc. And so I like the in-person, but we've had this vote year in and year out for the whole time I've been with the commission. And I can't help but think that and one of the complaints is, well, when it's snowy and it's really hard to get into the town hall and yada, yada. I can sympathize with that. And I wonder, is it possible? This is a question to, I don't know, whoever, you, Tom, or whatever. Can't we meet in public until, say, I'm making this up arbitrarily, but like the 1st of December? And then from December 1st on until March 31st, when this thing expires, we could do Zoom. I mean, you could do one or the other and we could all agree, let's do them both. We've ended, over 3 years, we've always come down to a 4-3 vote. And I've always been on the losing side. And I'm just thinking, can't we compromise in some way here? Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. George?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Now, I'll preface this by saying I won't be here, but I will say, and I appreciate all, both yours and Pete's comments, because I agree somewhat with them, but I also say I know that from being in person to doing Zoom, I think that the public has been able to participate a lot better. We have applications in front of us all winter long where people are off in Florida or wherever, and they can't participate, but yes, they are now. And I think that's important. And I think with the advent of Zoom and with the everybody using it and getting used to it more and more, I think we've had more input. That's been my impression. So and again, not really making a big difference to me, but I'm a proponent of Zoom.
Thanks, George. Anyone else? Louise or John? Oh, Angela.
Yeah, I think having only been a year in and only known it this way, I agree with what everyone is saying as far as meeting in person is better. It always was a teaching as well, but the amount of stuff we have to cover, 3 meetings a month, and in order to expedite it, I do believe that Zoom gives the public the ability to come where they may not have been able to do it in person. And also the screen sharing from the engineers to anybody who comes to the meeting seems to flow much better in this format. So I have to say that I'm leaning towards keeping it on Zoom at least till March 31st of 2025. That's how I feel about it. It seems to me that it flows more easily and gets our work done in a very methodical way that I actually have gotten to like. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I want to mention, though, is I think we all learn how to use the Zoom now, even from with the consultant size, and share the screen and stuff like that. It's easier for the public to see what the presentation is on the screens, compared to, you know, when we in the hearing room and stuff like that. It's not as easy to look at things. But that's my thought. Luis?
I agree with what Bill and Pete had to say. Maybe we should be getting together more often, socially, like we did last night. Don't laugh. I really do feel that the benefit of having greater access for the public is something that has been important in terms of what Zoom has brought us. I would also say that there have been many times when commissioners have been away on other business, on vacation, whatever. And because of Zoom, they've been able to participate in our hearings, which is important. So I am very much in favor of continuing the Zoom format.
Thanks, Luis. John?
Thank you, Tom. It's interesting, Pete, as you know, Bill is still quote sort of a newcomer, but Pete, as you know, in every one of these votes, I've favored Zoom. I've come to question that this year. I think the points you raised are very valid. I think that face-to-face meetings where you do read body language and et cetera is valuable. I think the social interaction is great. You know, so there's and Zoom is not always perfect, especially to Peter. You know, but consultants have problems, and certainly citizens have problems. So I've done a lot of thinking about this. I really have. The other side of that argument is that you know, maybe because of my legal background, maybe because of my long experience with the commission, I truly believe we owe it to the public to keep public participation as great as we can. I think public access as great as we can. It's a heck of a lot easier for me as a commission to sit at home on Zoom, but that should not be a reason to go Zoom. It really shouldn't be. We're committed to this. I think when I look at public access, when I look at the nature of our audience, you know, so many of the applicants are off Cape, especially in the colder months. But even in the summer months, so many of the people that have come before us, especially in controversial issues, you know, we've had the 10 and 12 and more people speaking for or against projects. As you know, Pete, the Cape Wind projects was not easy. You know, the electromagnetic fields, et cetera. They were difficult issues. A lot of people got a chance to speak on those things. I think that input is essential. And I think as I try to balance, and again, I've rethought this, Peter and Bill, more than you can imagine. I think on balance, I still come out saying that despite the negatives of Zoom, despite the lack of interaction, despite the sheer joy that we have when we go back and forth with each other, I still think that Zoom meets our obligation to the public better than face-to-face meetings. So I struggled with it, guys. I really did, but that's how I lean.
Thanks, John. So one thing I just want to point out, this vote is only for about 9 months, up into March 31st, 2025. And then we'll take a look at, we'll have to revisit that again. So
If the state allows it.
What?
If the state allows it, right? Don't they have to vote on it, the state?
Yes. Depending on how the government is moving,
Right.
whether they are going to extend it or not extend it, then by the time we close to March 31st, we should know one way or the other.
Right.
You know, so let me try this and see how it goes from there. Could I have a motions to continue our meeting in the Zoom up to March 31st, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
No.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu,
No.
Tangney.
Aye.
That motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So Kim, we can move on with all the future meeting with the Zoom format from now on, for the up until March 31st, 2025.
Okay.
So we have 3 RDAs tonight. The first one is Robert Hayden to remove 5 trees that pose a hazardous to structure at 7 and 19 Ocean View Avenue, contoured as shown on Assessors Map 034, parcel 042, 40 and 041. Jessica? You want to share the screen with us?
Darcy just shared.
Okay.
We have 5 trees on the property that are either extremely unhealthy or posing a hazard, an immediate hazard to structures that are on the property. And we have been requested by our insurance company to, remove or trim said trees. And after consulting with arborist, Mr. Shea, Shea, now I'm not going to remember his last name, but it's on my application, recommended that the trees come down, that they were not salvageable.
Thank you.
And they are in the buffer zone. That's why we're here with you.
Right. I saw the buffer zone line, and some are within the 50 and some are just within the 100, between 50 and 100 too. So
yeah, and one I wasn't 100% sure of, so I thought I would go through you all anyway. And then one of them, 4 are on 19 Ocean View and 1 is on 7 Ocean View, but I've received permission from the owners of 7 Ocean View to remove the tree that is on their property.
okay, thanks. Any question from the commissioner?
Yes.
John?
I'm sorry, I tried to raise my hand. I do think, Darcy, we should have a written approval from the neighbor for this project in the files.
It already came in
RDA.
as the RDA.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question from the commissioner?
Yeah, I think the only thing I maybe didn't put in my submission was actual photos, which I'd be happy to show you now, but it is outlined in the letter from the arborist as well.
Yeah, his letter is a part of the RDA application. Yeah.
And I believe someone from the commission came to the property.
Yeah, I can clarify that. Ed took a look at this. Staff supports it. And I just wanted to point out, Jessica, you might want to let the commission know, but it's in your project description that you are willing to do some replacement with 2 witch hazels, hydrangeas.
Yes,
And the
I would love
Norway
to.
maple will be replaced with 3 flowering dogwoods, hostas, and annuals. So
Yes,
maybe we would want her to take some pictures and submit to the file once those are planted.
Thank you for mentioning that, Darcy.
yeah, thank you, Darcy.
Angela, I saw your hands up.
Yeah, I was one of the ones who walked the property and there's are large trees right next to the house and I totally agree with. So I have no problem with moving forward on this
Thank you.
as a negative determination.
Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney,
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Mr. Chairman.
Before we go on, is it just my computer that's crashing out, Angela, or is all?
Everyone.
It's mine too. She's
Mine too.
crashing out a lot.
Yeah.
It's glitching.
So
Everything's
Angela,
glitching.
you might consider going to audio only to kill the video. That's what I do up here in West Barnstable when I have glitchy computer.
Yeah.
It's her video is good, but it's voice.
Yes.
It just takes up too much bandwidth.
Yeah. If
So
you
cut the video and we
you
got
turn
good
off the
audio.
camera. Yeah, if you turn
Angela,
off
could you say
This-
something?
Yes, is this better?
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
Okay. All right, I'll be here listening.
okay, thanks.
May I ask a question? So the negative determination means we're okay to move forward with the tree removal?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, wait till you get it in the mail.
I will.
But we should-
Negative in this, for me in this case,
It's
is
good.
somewhat positive. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we don't need to stay on the call anymore unless we have comments about something
No.
else.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you.
The second RDA is John N. Jr. and Aaron S. Spinney to maintain an existing wheel corridor and propose grading for flood protection at 46 Little Island Drive, Oysterville, as shown on the Assessors Map 093, parcel 058-008. This is John.
Good evening, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting. I noticed that the applicant is also in the meeting room with us this evening. I will work on pulling up the plan for you all. This is a little short of 3 acres of land on the south side of Little Island at 46 Little Island Drive, developed with a single-family dwelling. It was renovated and the pool area added pretty recently under SE 35949. That certificate of compliance was issued around December. And at that time, it was the agents had pointed out that there was not any prior official Vista corridor out there and that we should be putting forth an application, which we've done. So we have shown basically the existing Vista corridor. We're requesting standard Vista pruning of the trees located within it. And we're requesting permission to maintain the understory as outlined in the application at a naturally undulating 4 to 8 feet. And that is exactly the verbiage that the commission approved just on the other side of Little Island on a similar site and similar application a little over a year ago. The other piece that has come up kind of since we did our certificate of compliance and discussion with the applicants is just to the south of the house. There's a little bit of a low spot, a little bit of a swale kind of between these two pine trees where a couple of times over the last few years, a good storm tide has flowed through this swale and it ends up flooding into the front yard and all the way towards the street. And it's just sort of amazing to them looking at the tree on either side of it, which is just a few inches higher, but it's just enough to sort of block those annual, semi-annual storms. And so we're requesting to do a little bit of grading in between those trees, not impacting those trees at all, in hopes to be able to try to prevent those occurrences and not taking out any trees and preserving any of the shrubbery that's there and making that area back to exactly how it sits today. So I think with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So John, when you're doing that regrading in that area, are you going to plant the grass and all that?
It's not even really grass right now. It's shrubs. It's not part of the yard. It's part of the buffer, and it will just go back to being
Natural.
an undisturbed natural part of the buffer. With the re-putting the plants back as much as we can. If any needed to be supplemented, it would be fine too.
Okay, thank you. Pete?
Okay, yeah, that was sort of my question, just for John to expand on the renaturalization of this area. So the height, again, for the public is 6 inches of.
We said 18 inches plus or minus. So we dropped down to like a 4.
Right.
And we've got 5+ on either side of it. So we're just kind of connecting the two contours on either corner of it.
So I very much suspect that the existing, and I'm not a horticulturalist, but if you put 18 inches of soil over lots of stuff, it doesn't necessarily like it. So just make sure that you restore a vibrant buffer there. That's all I ask.
And I think that and it may not be the right word, but preservation even meant like popping them out and putting them right back in. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Be buried.
Yeah. George.
Yeah, I was there today and this makes a lot of sense to me. So I just wanted to throw that in. Thank you.
Luis.
I kind of have a problem with the idea of putting fill in the buffer. And I imagine it is a problem to have a flood that goes all the way out to Little Island Drive. It seems like a very small area, but it is in the 50-foot buffer. And so that bothers me a lot. The other thing is that looking at the Vista corridor, it's really pretty wide. Our guidelines don't really prescribe how wide it could be or couldn't be, but it is wide, and it is, yes, there is understory there which undulates, but there are no trees there at all. There are just some trees on either side. So, you know, there's nothing to prune in terms of upper story, so to speak. So I guess since there are no trees there, there's nothing to work with, and so it is what it is. But I do have a problem with filling in the 50-foot buffer, and even though it is a small piece.
Thanks, Luis.
Could I respond to that?
Sure.
In terms of the grading, I think that the problem with trying to accomplish that outside of the 50-foot buffer is it becomes a wider area, a bigger area. Our contours are become further apart. So this little berm, instead of being, 30, 40 feet at the closest point to the high points today, as we stretch back, now it becomes double more of an area. And there's more trees to be trying to work around. So it just seemed like this was the least disturbance of an area. I understand it's in the 50, but that's the reason it's there, is because that's where the natural landform kind of allows us to do this with the least disturbance.
The other thing is this property is really pretty extensively developed. It's grass, beautifully manicured grass right up as close as is, legal to the buffer and so forth and so on. So I just hate to see the development continue into the buffer. But that's what this commissioner thinks. So see what everyone else says.
Thanks, Luis. George, your hands up.
I saw the same thing that John was talking about. It seems like, that there is this minor bit or as some other consultants would put, this minuscule bit of in the buffer in the 50-foot. But at any rate, this little bit of stuff that has to go on in the buffer in the 50-foot would eliminate a lot of other disturbance that might have to take place between the 50 and the 100. I looked at it and I thought, I think it's pretty good. But staff, Darcy, do you have any comments on this?
I would support this. I believe that the amount that they're trying to fill in and grade is minuscule compared to what it could happen above. So,
yep, thanks.
Thanks, Darcy. Pete?
Yeah, so I agree with Louise with respect to having that whole front forever just being a 4 to 6 foot undulation absent trees. I am in support of a small berm in part because if the flooding gets any more regular, I fear salt water damaging the existing plants in the area that's getting flooded. So that could be quite a problem for both the homeowner and for the vegetation that's already there. We don't want all that vegetation to die from saltwater intrusion or flooding. But I fully agree with Louise that having a blanket, fairly large view corridor at 4 to 6 feet, absent any trees, is getting beyond what this commissioner is comfortable with. A blanket like that. I like when we actually have staff go there and manage so that in fact there are view corridors, but there is also vegetation from the public view between the water and the house, that there's some level of greenery in front of the edifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Bill?
Yeah, I'm a great defender of the 50-foot buffer, as you know. However, here it's about basically just jacking up the soil, if you will, a bit, and then allowing that, having it go wild. And I think that is not a long-term impact on the 50-foot buffer. And as we've been talking about, it's really protecting the area behind it from, killing off the vegetation from salt water or what have you. So I guess I don't have a problem. It's kind of an odd thing to actually be doing something in a 50-foot buffer and have me not go, what? But in this case, I can see that this is not hardscape. This is just trying to protect the area behind it, and I can see that's okay. And I'm also thinking that is there not going to be conservation staff that will be on site per our guidelines that will identify what can or should not be cut?
Yes,
Yes.
So
staff will be there.
So I don't have a problem with this project.
Thanks, Bill. Angela?
Yeah, can you hear me clearly with no picture? Yes. I lean towards Louise because this is an RDA. This doesn't have conditions with it. So my feeling was why are we doing anything in the 50? And I didn't like, as what Pete said, with the clearing below. So I'm leaning towards Louise on this as far as an RDA because we don't put conditions on an RDA. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Louise?
I would just say that we're talking about putting this fill in, however small it is, in order to protect the plants behind it. And I would point out that overwhelmingly, the plants behind it is well manicured grass. It's not, native bushes or whatever. It's grass. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Louise. John?
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I have to say, looking at the project, I thought it was de minimis. I thought it was a very good project. But with vista pruning, they're asking for within the guidelines, which means, Bill, you're right, staff will be there to kind of supervise what goes and what doesn't go. It's not taking down any trees, obviously, because they're not there now. So, and I think, under our own guidelines, we'll look at everything on a site-specific basis. And so I would very much agree with Bill Kearns when he says, I don't like doing the 50, but this is one of those site-specific projects that I think is good from an environmental point of view, not bad.
Thank you, John.
One comment on the vista, just to kind of make sure it's understood if we didn't make it there. It's kind of an oddly shaped lot, but we do have about 300 feet of frontage on the marsh. We've got a corridor that's like 80 feet, so it's like 25%. I think it's pretty well within past practices. We're also not like butted up to the bay. We're just overlooking a big area of salt marsh, privately owned salt marshes. There's like 2 houses between us and the bay. We're like 500 feet away. So in terms of like public views into us, I don't see that as being a big thing. We got nice, significant trees kind of flanking this corridor.
Thanks, John. This is a standard vista pruning for the view corridor, and the staff will go out there and determine, what can be taken down or not, or trimmed. So I don't have an issue with that. Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None?
Excuse me, Tom.
Yeah, Darcy.
Just prior to making a motion, just please, it's not just the standard vista pruning. Make sure you add into the motion that you're okay with the undulating cut of the understory, because that is not on the standard vista pruning sheet. So you need to call that out in your motion. Thank you.
That it is pretty consistent with what we've asked for, though, right, Darcy?
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't mean that to say that staff has a problem. I just want you to clarify it.
No, we did that many times, especially usually that's peaks requirement as far as the undulating, understory goes. So could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination with the standard vista pruning and with the undulating understory between 4 to 6 or 4 to 8?
Whatever. Darcy.
Yeah.
So moved.
Anyone second?
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Foster.
No,
Gilmore, aye. Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
Tangney.
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Good luck, John. The last RDA is the Bird Realty Trust to repair subsurface septic system and upgrade under Title V. The proposed upgrade includes the replacement of the existing cesspool with an innovative and alternative system, IE system, with a 1,500 gallons septic tank, a UV disinfection system, a backup generator to support the pump chamber system, and new disposal field at 4741 Farmers Road, contoured as shown on the Assessors Map 009, parcel 020. Who is that, Sam?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Sam Hess with Strong Tree Engineering, representing the owner of the property, the Burt Realty Trust. So yeah, this is most of the description of the project in the, on the agenda. It's a, just over half-acre lot on Route 28, Falmouth Road. It obviously
Sam, Sam, can you share the screen?
Yep. This is kind of the proposed plan. You can see the Santuit River to the east and the south of the existing dwelling and the existing septic system. So the house is an existing 1-bedroom. It currently has a failed cesspool. It's being pumped out regularly. So we're not proposing any changes, obviously, to the 1-bedroom house, no increase in flow, nothing like that. And as it says in the agenda, this is basically the new system's going to be a 1,500 gallon septic tank with advanced treatment, microfast, UV disinfection, pump chamber with backup generator to achieve groundwater separation, and new concrete galley chamber, field size for 3 bedrooms. So, and this has passed all, I believe the final Board of Health hearing was earlier today. Our professional engineer, Justin Lamro, attended. I know it went through. Take any questions.
Thank you, Sam. And yes, this application has been approved by the Board of Health this afternoon. Any question, Pete?
Sam, thank you.
Sure.
Ditto,
George?
ditto.
Ditto, ditto.
Oh, okay.
We like those IA systems.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this is I think another one that's going to be a plus, you know, protecting the river. So
Yeah, especially with such close proximity to the Santuit. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
quite close. Yep.
January 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lampu,
Aye.
Tangny.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Good night. We have 3 NOI tonight. Catherine K. and Wallace S. Grove, trustee, to replace existing failing concrete bulkhead with vinyl bulkhead at 944 Main Street, Contour, as shown on the assessors map 035, parcel 094. John?
Good evening, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting again, representing the applicants who are also here in the meeting room. I'll work on bringing up the plan. This project is located on Main Street in Katuitt, overlooking Katuitt Bay. We have 3 existing structures on the property, which are old. 2 of them, at least we can see back into the photos in the 30s or 40s. The main house was maybe redone in the 50s and then added to in the 2000s. Shoreline's protected by a concrete seawall, probably at least as old as those houses in the 30s and 40s that back then probably ran along the entire shoreline here. It held out pretty well until the fall, and those couple of late fall storms we had really did a number on it. And it's kind of beyond the point of repair. And so we are here seeking to remove that and replace it with a vinyl bulkhead. It will go back within its footprint. We are looking to bring it up about a foot higher. If you went there, that kind of just brings us up to the height of where the flagpole is, just a little bit of extra protection. Access will come in through the land, down the driveway. Probably 95+% of this work will be able to be done just from the yard. Only time that maybe would need to go over this kind of a failing old groin at the south end that might need to be snuck around to get access to pull that out of the way as well. Besides that, I think it's pretty straightforward bulkhead replacement and great access, and they're anxious to get moving on this as soon as possible. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Question, Bill?
What does it mean 5-foot returns will be provided at each end? What's a 5-foot return mean?
So they'll usually put a couple of sheets going back into the yard so that the neighbor's bulkhead, which is staying, and ours kind of butt ends to each other. So it's basically buried in the ground. You probably don't even know it's there, but it's very typical at the end of bulkheads that there's some sort of return so that each property can kind of, your neighbor doesn't take care of theirs for the next 100 years. You've got your little box of a corner there.
So it's a corner. You're putting a corner on the end of the.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
It's, this is kind of like a standard design. You wrap around at the end there along the property line to wrap it up. A bit more protection stuff. Luis?
Part of your proposal is to remove a failing groin. It's just one, not the 2 that are shown on the drawing, right? I couldn't find the second one.
I'm not aware of a second one. It's this sort of at the south end of the property.
Okay, there's something at the other end of the arrow.
I think that's just
I thought that was- it doesn't matter. But my point is that there, around the area of that groin, there are grasses growing, a lot of them, and possibly accretion happening. And so if you remove the groin, that will probably go away. And I don't know that that is a good thing. I would think we would want the grasses and so forth just to protect the shoreline from storms, et cetera. I mean, it's not really doing the job it was supposed to do originally, but it still seems to have some benefit.
I think I can speak to that, Louise,
Okay.
if I may,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, George.
Yeah, we found with the replacement of these bulkheads, especially in this case, the removing of those stones is probably going to promote marsh grass growth. We've seen it in the past a lot on oyster harbors where we've done these projects and replaced or put in new bulkheads, and all of a sudden you have a tremendous amount of growth. It seems to, and again, it depends on the area, but it seems to help the flow of water so that you actually get more marsh grass growth in front of these bulkheads when you put them in. So I think I think that will flourish, Louise.
Okay.
That really is the one thing on this project that we spent a few extra minutes going through with the owner, and we went back and forth on it ourselves. You know, if that was just kind of like a cobble mound there, we'd leave well enough alone. It's not doing a lot of good on either side. And it's not like there's a significant change in the beach slope on the property to the south or to the north. But the problem is it's just such a deteriorated clump of more concrete than there ever was stones. Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't seem right to leave it there. And we talked about whether or not it was worth putting, you know, a couple of sections of sheeting back in there as like a replacement groin. But there's so little change in the beach profile on either side of it that it just didn't seem that it was worth it.
Yeah, that was my impression, John. I think once that cobble goes out of there, I think that beach grass is going to kind of take over the area eventually.
Yeah. Thanks, George. Any other questions from the commissioner? None. Chadwick, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Darcy and George, I have a quick question for you guys. I am wondering whether we should get a construction protocol on the file. And
yes,
this construction protocol would have to be prepared by the contractor.
I think that's a good idea, don't you, Darcy?
Yeah, I don't think we need a pre-construction site visit, but having this coming in from land, I just want to have that in writing for the file.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve this project subject to a submittal of a written construction protocol by the contractor at least 4 weeks prior to the constructions to begin?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Badili.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Tangney.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
Good luck, John.
Much.
The second NOI is Housing Assistance Corporation of Cape Cod. Constructions of a 3-story, 50 units affordable housing residential building within the 200-foot riverfront area at 268 Stevens Street. Hyannis as shown on the Assessors Maps 308, parcel 017. Pamela, is that right?
Actually, my name's Brandon Carr. I'm going to be representing the applicant tonight from Decreed Engineering.
Okay, Brandon, welcome.
So good evening. Like I said, Brandon Carr with Decreed Engineering. Here with me is David Quinn from Housing Assistance on Cape Cod. I'll share the kind of just walk through the project and the plans. And just as an update, I did reach out to staff today. The DEP file number has not been issued for this.
Right. Right.
I called up. It sounds like the check just hasn't been processed yet. So we'll just continue to follow up with them on that, but we'll have to continue at the end of the hearing. So the site's located at 268 Stevens Street. It's on the corner of Stevens Street, North Street, and Mitchell's Way, which goes off to the west here. We're within conservation jurisdiction because there's a stream offsite. I've traced it in green on this site, on this image, just to kind of give you context of where it is. So there's a perennial stream. It's a blue line on the USGS, and it was actually previous permitting on the site. It was established as a stream. So the 200-foot riverbank from that stream extends onto our site. You can see that there's a couple houses and some development in between our site and the stream itself. So this is the existing conditions plan. The green line on the left side here, that's the 200-foot riverfront. So you can see it's about a 1.5 acre lot. You can see maybe 15% of the western edge is on within the riverfront. It's about 13,200 square feet of the site is within the riverfront area. The site was previously a car dealer, auto repair facility. It was demoed in around 2017. The building was taken down. The site itself, and I've got an old image. This is the image of the site from 2016. So you can see it was in pretty well in disrepair. It was pretty much almost entirely paved. There was a stormwater system out there. Previously, it just discharged straight into the town system in Mitchell's Way. But since then, like I said, the building's been removed, the asphalt's been removed. If you've been by the site recently, it's being used by the town for staging for a sewer project they're doing in the area. So what we're proposing is a 3-story, 50-unit residential building. It's an affordable housing for sale type product. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. You can see the building's located on the southeastern corner of the site. So it's on the corner of Stevens Street and North Street. The parking is tucked behind it with curb cuts on Mitchell's Way and Stevens Street. Within the riverfront, like I said, there's about 13,000 square feet of riverfront area on the site. Compared to the pre-conditions before the building and pavement were removed, we're removing about 5,000 square feet, 5,500 square feet of pavement from that riverfront area. The remaining the pavement that's within the riverfront area, there's a full stormwater system provided for the site. So for stormwater, we're proposing there's an infiltration basin in the south western corner that really serves to capture runoff. When we were working with engineering, with the town engineering department on this, they were just concerned about any additional runoff to Mitchell's Way. So that's why they wanted us to locate a above ground basin down there to catch any additional runoff. But the majority of the treatment on site, you can see these kind of hatched purple areas. That's a pervious pavement type product. It's called Stormcrete. It's a pervious precast concrete product. So that captures and infiltrates the stormwater through the pavement. And then there's a stone reservoir underneath that serves to act as basically a underground detention basin, and also infiltrate the stormwater into the ground. So that's a practice that's been approved by DEP. In addition, we have an underground infiltration system for the roof. So overall, the site stormwater system meets all the Barnstable and state regulations for water quality, infiltration, recharge requirements, and peak control. Like I said, we've gone through the site review process through the departmental review process. We work closely with engineering on the stormwater just because of the proximity to the site, to the abutting ways, and they're concerned with any runoff leaving our site. So that's why we've designed the site to infiltrate all stormwater up to the 100-year storm on our site. So where I mentioned before, there was a connection into the town drainage system. There's no longer one today. Should mention it's right outside the riverfront area, but in this section of the site, there's a underground sewer pump station. We've been working with the town engineering on that. That's a public project. It's funded by a MassWorks grant, I believe, or some sort of grant. But we're working with the town that serves some of the abutting properties, and also it'll serve our property. We've been working with them on the design of that, and we'll be providing an easement to the town for that pump station. Lastly, I was just going to present, we did submit a landscaping plan for the site. So get to it here. So we submitted a landscaping plan, meets the Barnstable zoning and planning requirements. It's basically a mixture with the zoning requirements for this area require the building to front right up against the street. They want to create a framework on this, especially on this intersection. So there's not a ton of opportunity for street trees, but we've introduced some lower plantings around the building, some trees on the southern side here where we have room. Within the parking lots, a mixture of lower bushes and grasses, and then some trees in the parking island. On the western side, within the riverfront area, it's a combination, again, of grasses, bushes, and some trees. It's more native species along that western edge. It's a mixture of trees. We have some river birch, some serviceberry, smaller scale winterberry, inkberry, dogwood, and then a few different types of more native type grass plants. So that's kind of framing this edge along the abutter here. Like I said, the stream is off site to the west. So that's kind of a high level overview of the project. Like I said, David is here from Housing on Cape Cod if you have any questions about the product itself and the development itself. But we're here to answer any questions anyone has about the design or the wetland impacts of the site.
Thank you, Brendan. George?
Yeah, Tom, you're happy with the stormwater calcs?
I look at it, and in general, I'm fine with this. The only condition I probably would place, because I am at this time, I'm not sure whether they have addressed all the DPW drainage questions or not. So I want to put that as a conditions, so that they should be working out with the DPW on that drainage issues and questions.
Okay, well, so I would say, being a particular proponent of affordable housing in the town of Barnstable, and given that this particular project doesn't seem to have any effect on our jurisdiction whatsoever, I would be very much in favor of this.
Thank you. Thank you, George. Bill?
I'm just looking at this project in terms of its impacts, and really it's all about stormwater runoff, the impacts, the potential impacts of that. And you have a really, what I would call a very complicated system that is way beyond my expertise. And you're really the only person, Tom, on the commission, I think, qualified to comment on this. I heard the gentleman say something to the effect that it's no longer going to be plugged into the town system. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm certainly good with the project, assuming the stormwater runoff plan is good, but I just can't comment on it. So to the extent that we have a way of ensuring that this, he refers to minimum state requirements, that it meets this, it meets that. Well, I have no idea. And you really need to be a stormwater runoff engineer to be able to competently assess that. And that's not what I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. John?
Yeah, I think too, something that we should remember, as a longtime resident, what pre-existed in that lot was significantly more deleterious than what is being proposed now. I mean, Bill, I don't know how long, but if you remember what was there, as some of us probably do, it was a mess. So from an environmental point of view, and I do agree, I think the condition ought to be that the chairman, review the stormwater runoff information. But other than that, I think it's a phenomenal improvement over what pre-existed.
Thank you, John. Pete?
Yeah, I completely agree with Commissioner Abedili. I think as well, and again, Chairman Lee, you was his, but we've got pervious pavers. We've got underground gravel storage areas. We've got an above surface retention area, and you're not putting water into our town sewer system. This is fantastic.
Absolutely.
What a deal.
Yeah.
I'd like to add, Tom, if I can, jumping in on Peter, this also as a commission, although it's not environmental, but the need for this, as George Promo said, is critical to the town of Barnstable. So as a citizen of Barnstable, not as a commissioner, way to go, Barnstable. Well done.
Yes, thank you, David. This is a good project, one much needed, and I hope there are many more from this commissioner.
Here, here.
One thing I just want to make a clarifications. I think, Brandon, the sewage from the building this housing project is connecting the town sewer.
Correct. Yeah. We're working with
town sewer limitations.
Connected to the town sewer, correct?
Yeah, of course, but the runoff from the surface isn't connected to any towns. It's being handled on site.
If I can elaborate on that a little bit, yeah. So when I mentioned before, previously the site did have a stormwater system, but it just consisted of catch basins and it was piped directly into the roadway system. And then I think it discharges towards the stream to the west. So we're disconnecting that, infiltrating into the ground. And if we did go back and forth a number of rounds, we had a number of meetings with Griffin and Matt Roble in the engineering DPW department on the stormwater. So if any of the commissioners want to reach out to Matt or Griffin, I'm sure they'll be able to give you their blessing on the system. We did receive site plan review approval a few weeks ago. There were a few, to the chairman's point, there were a few outstanding stormwater conditions as part of that, but it was more construction period things. Prior to construction, we have to file a stormwater permit with the DPW and a couple, updated SWIP and things like that once we have a contractor on board. But from a design standpoint and an actual BMP selection standpoint, I think we've addressed all their concerns. As they indicated that as part of the approval of that process.
Hello.
Thank you, Brandon. That's why I'm referring to when I look at some of the comments from the DPW, there's a few minor outstanding issues that you need to discuss that to check with the DPW and make that as part of your project stuff. That's all I'm referring to as the conditions.
We would obviously be amenable to a similar condition with the commission.
Okay, thank you. And this is a good project, for the affordable housing in the area. So, Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Yes. Lisa, yeah, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I would.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'd just like to say I don't think it's a great project. I'm concerned about the waterway. Like someone said it wasn't connected to the town and then somebody said it was. That's first of all. Second of all, living in the area, that corner was not always a mess. It was a car dealership years ago and it fell in from the water from in that area. And the guy fell down and got hurt because they dug below the water thing and they shouldn't have. They went too deep with the water and eventually water seeks its own level and down that came. So I'm worried about that. I'm also worried about runoff from when buildings come up and living in the area, if there's no grass and trees and all that nature stuff out there, they absorb the water and it's just asphalt. It leads to higher water in other areas. I don't want to see that where I live. I think that the traffic, what are you going to do with the traffic? Not too long ago, it was a big thing about the car wash on that very corner and about all the traffic that's coming off of Pleasant and off of Mitchell's. You can't even get out of Mitchell's Way sometimes because Stevens Street's so busy. Now you're going to throw 50 units and say everybody, and maybe even half the people have 2 cars. What are you going to do about the traffic? What are you going to do about the traffic on Pleasant Hill Lane, which is right up there in that corner? You can't get out. It's not a good project.
Well,
For 50 houses. And not for Hyannis, right on Main, in the main downtown area where there's a lot of people. And you're still trying to get that place over there at the golf course. We're going to be all jammed up and can't get around. That's not fair. Take it somewhere else.
Thank you.
Did we
Kim,
get her name and address? Record?
I already gave that earlier. You have my
get it.
You have my name and you have my email.
Could I just get your name, please, and your address?
Lisa DeLuz, Pleasant Hill Lane in Hyannis, which runs right off of Stevens.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm here too.
And my mom's here who lives on Mitchell's.
I'm the one that got the notice about this meeting.
Thank you.
And one more thing. I tried to go on the website earlier to get the plans, and the website wasn't working to download those plans. So I called the lovely young lady at Town Hall, and she sent them over to me, and I was able to download. So even if people were trying to be aware of this project and see the details of it, they were denied access because of I don't know what happened. It just didn't work. It didn't work for her either. So it's
okay. Thank you. 10:18. Any more public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Brandon, I need a continuance date. I'm thinking about the 9th. Is that okay with you?
The 9th would be fine.
The 9th would be fine. So what I'll do is, because basically is we are waiting for the DEP number. I think this is a approvable project, so we're gonna. I'll try to approve it, and then just pending on the with the continuance, pending on the DEP number.
Peter's got his hand up, Tom.
Peter.
Yes, Tom. Again, I don't know if I'm the one who should try to address the public's concern here, but my understanding is that the management of stormwater is vastly improved by the permeable pavers. It's not asphalt, by the stormwater catching of roof runoff subsurface, and by the placement of that retention depression area on the southwest corner. I think we should afford some response to the public here.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's why they went through the stormwater design, going through that procedure and calculation stuff, and then checking with the DPW on the drainage on site.
So we are addressing those concerns to make sure that it's not going to be a problem for the local residents that are already living there.
And we have no jurisdiction over traffic or anything like that.
No.
So it's not our jurisdiction.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. So could I have a motion to approve this project with a continuance date of July the 9th, waiting for the issuing of the DEP number?
Hello. I'm not done. I heard you say it's not your jurisdiction about traffic. So what does that mean to the local residents who are like boxed in? Not your problem, but ours?
No, you have to talk to the town DPW and site planning and all that different departments. We only dealing with the conservation jurisdictions on the riverfront area.
I'm okay. I'm puzzled. So you can talk to them and they say, okay, you can put it up. And then if there's a big bomb with the traffic, who handles that? Or is it too late? Nobody works together.
You can make your comment to DVW.
But I'm making it to you.
We have absolutely
You
no
guys are the
jurisdiction.
town people.
We don't have any jurisdiction over traffic, ma'am.
Yeah.
You
we
never
don't.
figured that in planning this?
But who does the planning for this?
I can speak to that. The project comes through site plan review where different departments look at the plans, and then it goes up to formal site plan review. So they are reviewed by department heads and all the other departments, fire department, DPW, planning department. That is where those are addressed.
So
Conservation Commission can only deal with jurisdictional issues.
okay,
We don't talk about so we are not dealing with the traffic.
But
and
what I'm
issues.
saying is, did nobody check with the traffic people first to make sure that the plan that the other folks want to do didn't interfere, or that they had a plan for traffic? I would think you would have a plan to make sure that everybody could get around safely, including the people that want to live in this building, instead of building it and then figure out what the hell you're going to do with the traffic. That's kind of back-asswards to me.
I can add to that. Just as part of the site plan review that Darcy mentioned, DPW did we provided some traffic information, and they did a traffic assessment based on the projections for the number of units, found it to be an acceptable level of service in that area with the proposed development. So as the chairman said, if you want to reach out to DPW, I'm sure they'll be able to give you more information on the review they did for traffic.
Well, what information did they give you?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but we provided a traffic assessment during the site permitting where that was reviewed by the town and approved by the town.
And where can that be found?
DPW has, or planning has a copy of all our correspondence to that.
Tom?
Yeah, go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah. Mr. Luz, do you remember me from Hyannis East Elementary School?
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a town councilor now, and I'm going to come over to your house, and I'm going to help you address all those issues, okay?
Okay.
So that you know exactly where to go and who to talk to. Let's get together and do that.
You give me a date.
Thank you, Charlie.
How about this Saturday?
Give me a time.
1 o'clock?
Saturday at 1 o'clock.
I'll see you over at your house.
We'll all be there, Charlie.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Charlie.
Thank you, Mr.
Charlie.
Bruce. I'll see you on Saturday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I make the motions. I think there is a second, right?
A
Yeah,
second.
second it if you need it. I'll
What?
second it if there wasn't one.
Yeah. Roll call.
Abedili,
Aye.
Tangney,
Aye, and thank you, Charlie.
Sampu,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. That is unanimous.
Tom, what was the, it's approved, but continuance for the DEP number, what was the continuance date, please?
July 9th.
July 9th.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last NOI is the Cycle Property Holdings LLC to demolish of an existing dwelling, construct a new dwelling and a pool and patio with all associated appurtenances at 130 Holly Point Road, Sandyville, as shown on the Assessors Map 232 parcel 039. John?
Good evening, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting. Again, I believe the applicants are with us in the meeting room. This project is at 130 Holly Point Road in Centerville. I'm bringing up the plan for you all. We're a little under half an acre of land on Bierce's Pond. We are developed with a single family dwelling that was constructed around 1960. The dwelling can be seen in the background on the plan. I could trace around the whole thing, but hopefully you can see the hatch. The project as proposed is to demolish that dwelling and construct a new dwelling with patio, pool, all associated appurtenances. The proposed dwelling is going to be pulled landward approximately 30 feet. The small pool area is located partially within the 50-foot buffer, but entirely within the footprint of the existing dwelling and landward of the existing dwelling. So this project results in increased separation to the wetland resource, being the pond. We result in a reduction in hardscape within the 50-foot buffer. We, based on those reductions, is actually no mitigation required, but we have offered a band of native plantings along the bottom of the yard. I think with that, I'd just be happy to answer any question.
Thank you, John. Any question from the commissioner?
Oh, God, I lost it. Hello?
Hi, John.
Yeah, I lost my video on this thing. You know, I've always argued unanimously with the commission that a complete tear down gives us kind of a greenfield site. And if it's a greenfield site, do we really want to allow the swimming pool within the 50, even if partial? As I walked that property, I was impressed by the steepness of the slope going down to the lake. My question, John, is will that pool require change in elevation or grade, or will all of it fit in where the existing patio is now, that paved patio?
We were actually going to lower that patio area. So we have the pool set at, you know, and this patio set at elevation 40, where the existing comes up is at about 43. So we were actually going to soften the steepness of that embankment leading up to it. There's no retaining walls towards the pond. We do have some retainage towards the property line. But I think that in general, the yard is staying kind of terraced as it is, where if anything, maybe lessening the amount of it a little bit.
Okay, that certainly makes me a little bit happier, because I thought if that pool extended, and it wasn't, I didn't see it flagged the end of the pool, but where it would go down that bank was really bothering me if you then had to change that elevation. So I'm a little bit happier with that. Also, as I say, if, you know, I look at this as a greenfield site, but it's a very small lot. It is an improvement in terms of protecting the 0 to 50. We are getting some mitigation. So I kind of balance all of that in my thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Bill?
Yeah, I guess I'm in agreement with John. I mean, I look at it, you are moving it back. This is all good. And the mitigation calculations suggest that there's no need for mitigation, but you're still going to do some plantings. And I think that's good. And my only question really is, are you going to try to let that little band of vegetation that you're proposing sort of grow wild, have sort of a, you know, in other words, not have it be mulched, not have it just, you know, let it become a filter. It's pretty close to the pond. I'm hoping that you will, you know, again, it's not mitigation, but it's your proposal. Will you allow that those plantings to essentially grow wild in between the plantings?
Yes, I think that I don't see there being any objection to that.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Bill. George?
Yeah, I agree with John and Bill. And I'm happy to see the plantings along the water there where they need them most. John, the fill that you're taking off around the pool, I assume that's going off site?
Yeah, I don't think we need any of it in the front yard. I was just kind of looking at the grading. So yeah, I think a few truckloads would come away.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, George. Any more question from the commissioner? No?
I would say something, Tom, and that is that Tom, when you make that motion, because it is it's not required mitigation planting, and yet here is the proposal. Can you in some way stipulate as an add-on to the thing that you're looking for a motion that indeed there will be some kind of, I don't know how you just exactly word it, but you allow natural growth, natural wild vegetation to grow in between those plants. I see it's not required, and yet it's a part of the project. So I'm hoping we can include that in your motion.
One way you could do is add a condition, Bill, that says the mitigation areas identified in the plan will be maintained in its natural state, or whatever the words are. But you could add that as a specific condition to address your concern.
Again, it's not a mitigation, though. He said it's not mitigation.
But it's identified on the plan as mitigation.
But the intent is the mitigation area, we call it.
The native planting ban shall be
right.
The native plant. Okay, thank you.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Elsie.
May I be so bold, John, to ask this question? Would you be amenable to pulling the fence up on the other side of the planting row? So then the fence would be the area that would identify what would be mowing, and you leave the plants alone. It didn't make sense to have the fence down if you're going to maybe have these plants in.
And where am I? There, it is proposed that the fence be pulled landward of it, and I don't know if you can see here, we've got like the dots. There is a line kind of between the hay bales.
Yeah, it's not quite
fencing that is to be the fence.
What's the other fence that is that coming out?
I think that's the existing one would be removed.
Okay.
So that is true, and as I said, there's definitely no objection to allowing that native band to naturalize. I would also say that, you know, down in this area is their pond access, so it's not like there isn't going to be some activity down in this area still. So we're trying to kind of create a band at the bottom of the slope, but then you get past the band, and it's still their pond access.
And that's good.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that if that was.
Do you have it marked that other fence is coming out? That's what it was.
It didn't say that.
It didn't say that. It can say that.
Yeah, and maybe that was why I didn't even notice that you had the new fence location. So
yeah, okay.
And John, just make sure as you are volunteering to naturalize this area that does not include a bittersweet overgrowth or something like that.
The new native plantings.
10:18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None? Let me try this. If I'm wrong, just correct me. Could I have a motion to approve this project subject to one, the receipt of a revised plan showing the existing fence to be removed, and second, the natural area beyond the fence line, or the proposed mitigation area to be naturalized?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Tangy,
Aye, yes.
Sampu,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Byrne,
Bye.
Gilmore, aye. Foster,
Aye.
Abadili.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
Thank you very much, John. We have two continuance. The first one is Town of Barnstable, DPW, construct sidewalk and shared use path, a raised walkway, drainage, crosswalk, drainage improvement, new additions, street lights, new driveway to Calmus Beach, guardrails, watering extension, repave part of the Ocean Street, install signs and pavement marking, other associated work on the town right-of-way from 480 to 670 Ocean Street and to town properties at 480 and 670 Ocean Street, Hyannis, as long as the assessors map 324, parcel 038 and 041. This is a continuance from June the 11th. At that time is waiting for the DEP number and the NHSP letter. And we have received the DEP number as SE3-6201. I think the quorum is everyone except Bill. Am I right?
No, Bill and Louise.
And Louise, sorry, yes. And Louise, is Paul here? Paul?
Yeah, yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
So we don't have the NHSP letter. Can we have a continuance to July the 9th? Just waiting for the NHSP letter?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of information. I'm not sure if this counts, but they emailed it to you at 4:30 this afternoon. So I understand you probably haven't had a chance to see it yet.
I have not seen it. Kim, have you seen it?
I can bring it up and see if it came to me. Hold on.
I believe it came to the conservation mailbox.
Thank you for mentioning that. Otherwise, we would miss that.
So I did come through it in my email at 4:30 this afternoon.
Okay.
Did it not reach you then, Kim?
No, I did not see that. So
No.
Darcy, open it up. See what is the condition in there?
Oh, I see.
I have it in my email. I'm not sure how I can. Did you have it, Darcy?
Yeah. It says, let me just scroll down here. To sum it up, it says, based on a review of the information that was provided and the information that is currently contained, it will not adversely affect the actual resource area habitat of the state protected rare wildlife species. So let's see. They did not have any other conditions, just this project may be subject further review if no physical work is commenced within 5 years. So there was no take.
Okay.
Both, yeah, and that was under the Wetland Protection Act and the Mass Endangered Species Act, Lisa. So we're all set. You can now move forward.
Okay. Motions to close the public hearing and authorize the staff to issue the order of conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Albert Ely,
Aye.
Sam Poo,
Aye.
Tiny,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Lee,
Aye.
that is unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. The second continuous is the town of Mashpee proposed maintenance dredge at the existing approach inlet and 1916 channels within Probenecid Bay that extend into Barnstable. And this is a continuance from May 14th, 24, May 24, May 28th, June 4th, June 11th. And the quorum is, let me see who's in there. And the quorum except George, Bill, and Louise, right? Yeah. And we're waiting for the HSB letter.
And who else, Tom? Who else?
You, Bill, and Louise.
Okay.
Darcy and Kim, we don't have the NHSP letter on this one.
I do not see it. I was just scrolling through emails and I put Holton in the search box. I can't find anything on this one.
No, I don't have this one either. This did not come in at 4:29.
And I think Kim did reach out to,
Paul?
did you reach out?
Yeah, I did email Paul earlier today, but I have not heard back from him.
Yeah, so we'll just have to go with I'd recommend going with the 9th also.
Could I have a motion to continuance this application to July the 9th, waiting for the issuing of the NHSP letter?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Cavadili,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangy,
Aye.
Lampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
We have two easy certificate of compliance. The first one is Diane Zach Seagulls, Beyond the Beach LLC, SE3-5540. The second one is Corey A. Griffin, Trustee, SE3-5941. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Lampu,
Aye.
Tangy,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Hearn,
Bill?
Sorry, aye.
Cavadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you. We have two sets of minutes, May 28th and June 4th.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, we accept the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Roll call.
Cavadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Abstain.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangy,
Aye.
Lampu.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you. So I just want to, this time I just want to say a few things on behalf of the commissions, and then I'll let the commission chime in to make any comments. This is George's last hearing, and I want to say thank you for his contributions to the commissions. If I can say on behalf of the commissions, we all respect your experience and local knowledge, and we definitely miss you and your knowledge in your commissions. But, we would still have a friend with you, and we can still go out for drinks.
Tom, as long as you're buying, I'm there.
Well said.
I would like to just say briefly, it's been a great 6 years. I've learned a lot, and to my fellow commissioners, thank you all. It's been a pleasure serving with you all, and it's amazing the job you all do and what you do, and I hope the public appreciates it. But most of all, I'd like to say thank you to the staff, because without you guys, we're nothing. And you do everything behind the scenes, and we get all the credit. So thank you, Darcy. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Ed, who isn't here tonight. You've all been amazing, and I've really enjoyed my time here, and I'm moving on to other things. But again, thank you all.
And we thank you. All the help you've helped me with bulkheads and understanding revetments and groins. So I've learned a lot.
I'm still here, Darcy. You can call me.
I was already looking at one. I was already looking at one for the next hearing.
I got it.
But thank you so much, George.
Did you train Angela on how to schedule all next year's meetings?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll go over that. Yeah, and Angelo, call me anytime. We'll go over that. That's
will.
what we do have to go.
I
Yeah.
will.
Thank you so much, George, for all your support and help, and I truly will be missed.
Thank you. Thank you, George.
Charlie, you want to say a
Thanks,
few
everybody.
words?
I think the town has benefited from George's knowledge on this committee. It's been fantastic. I have learned so much from this committee and from George. I just can't tell you how much George is going to be missed and appreciated in that absence, in his absence.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
will just say one last thing, Charlie, since you're on the call. The sooner you can fill this position, the better it is for the commission. because having 6 commissioners sit on the board is not a good thing. And I know that now that you're going to be able to take applications, but the sooner this position can be filled, the better for the commission.
Thank you, George. That's words of wisdom from one who knows what he's talking about, and we'll work on it as quick as possible. Thank you.
If I could add to that, to the commissioner and to Charlie, I think there's, one of the things, and I've been on the commission an awful long time, one of the things that George brought to this is just a very, a practical knowledge that some of us don't have. We get PhDs and lawyers and all of that, but the practical knowledge that George brought, I think, is essential. And I hope that the town council, when they pick a candidate, and I agree with George, the sooner the better, recognizes that great asset that he brought to us. George, I can tell you as a friend, and you and I go back a long ways, I'm going to miss you.
I'm right down the road, Abo. I'm still in Katuitt, so
I still owe you a scotch.
Yeah, you still owe me a scotch. You're right.
Thank you, George.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much. It's been a great 6 years.
Any other comment from the commissioner?
I hope you're still willing to be a consultant. I mean, the whole idea of bulkhead and what's a wraparound.
Well, I can't be a consultant for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Careful, Billy. He may be looking for money. We can't afford it.
We can pay him in scotch.
Yeah, there you go. I can be bribed with scotch. There's no question.
But he drinks expensive stuff, Angela. Be careful. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, one thing I just wanted to mention with George opening, we are looking for an applicant who have some kind of a local knowledge with the building experience and so forth. So if any citizens is interested, please submit your applications to the appointment committee. So thank you. And could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
George, this is your last call.
That's my last call. Evan Ely.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Tangney.
Aye.
Sampu.
So if I don't respond, we get to keep you longer.
Yeah, let's vote no, Pete, and that way he can't leave.
Abstain.
And Gilmore is an aye, and thank you all again very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night,
everybody.
Thank you, George. Best.
Bye.
Thank you, Charlie.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Best,
Good night,
George.
everybody.
Thank you.